Mercedes set your AC to a factory default that protects their noise ratings, not your comfort. They never told you that, and they were counting on you never finding out. Studies show cabin temperatures can exceed 60 degrees Celsius in summer heat. Your Mercedes was built to fight that. Most owners are running it at half power without knowing it exists. Today, I am showing you exactly what to change, and why your AC has been holding back since day one. Let's get into it. Number 11. Stop pre-cooling. A sealed oven. This is the first mistake. Your Mercedes sits in the sun, the cabin becomes an oven. The seats, dashboard, carpet, headliner, glass, and vents all soak up heat. Then the owner gets in, shuts every window, starts the car, turns the AC to maximum, and expects cold air immediately. That is not cooling. That is making the AC fight a sealed heat box. The first move is simple. Open the doors or windows briefly before asking the system to work hard. Let the hottest air escape. Drive for a short moment with the windows cracked if it is safe. This dumps the heat load before the compressor has to fight it. Mercedes climate systems can be powerful, but they cannot cheat physics. Heat trapped inside the cabin has to go somewhere. If you leave it inside, the evaporator cools the same hot air slowly while the dashboard keeps radiating heat back into the cabin. Mechanics warn that weak AC complaints often start with bad usage, not bad parts. The owner says, "It does not cool fast." The car says, "You made me cool the sun." This one habit can make the first few minutes feel dramatically colder. Let the oven breathe before you ask it to become a refrigerator. The next step is where many Mercedes owners sabotage cold air with one button. Number 10. Use recirculation. After the first heat, dump. Recirculation is powerful, but timing matters. Use it too early and you can trap hot cabin air. Use it too late and the system keeps pulling hot outside air through the vents. The smart sequence is simple. First, let the worst heat escape. Then press recirculation once the cabin air starts cooling. Now the system is cooling air it has already cooled instead of constantly cooling fresh hot air from outside. That is why recirculation can make the vent temperature feel much colder. At high outside temperatures, some Mercedes systems may activate recirculation automatically. Some also allow outside air again after a period to prevent stale air and fogging. That is normal. The driver still needs to understand what the button does. The trap is leaving the climate system in fresh air mode during extreme heat and wondering why the cabin refuses to cool quickly. Fresh air is useful for fogging, odors, and air quality. Recirculation is useful when the cabin is hotter than your patience. Watch the windows. If glass starts fogging, adjust the setting. Comfort should never create visibility problems. If you want Mercedes tips that save money before mechanics start replacing parts, hit that subscribe button now. The coldest AC tricks are not always under the hood. Recirculation is not magic. It is recycling your progress. The next step hides behind the glove box, and it can make a strong AC feel weak. Number 9. Replace the cabin filter. Before blaming the compressor, a dirty cabin filter can make cold air feel weak. That sounds too simple, which is why owners miss it. The evaporator may be cold, the refrigerant may be correct, the compressor may be working. The vents can still feel pathetic because air is struggling to pass through a clogged filter. Mercedes cabin filters catch dust, pollen, leaves, soot, and debris before air enters the cabin. Over time, that filter becomes a wall. The fan spins harder, the airflow drops, the cabin cools slowly. The driver turns the fan higher and hears more noise, not more comfort. That is the classic clue. Loud blower. Weak airflow. Before paying for AC diagnosis, check the cabin filter history. If it is dark, dusty, damp, packed with leaves, or smells like an old basement, replace it. Some Mercedes models use more than one cabin filter or a combination filter, so check the correct location for your model. This is where the missing chain idea matters. A Mercedes AC system is not one magic part. Cabin heat, airflow, condenser cooling, filters, drains, sensors, blend doors, refrigerant charge, fan control, and driver settings all have to agree. One weak link makes the whole system feel lazy. Sometimes the cold air is there. It simply cannot reach your face. A filter can be cheap compared with compressor diagnosis, refrigerant work, blend door repairs, or electrical chasing. Dirty airflow feels weak and smells old. Replace the breathing restriction before blaming the lungs. The next step is outside the cabin, where a thin layer of dirt can choke the system from the front. Number 8. Clean the condenser without damaging it. The condenser sits at the front of the car, usually near the radiator. It has one job that matters to your AC. It releases heat. Your AC does not create cold from nowhere. It moves heat from inside the cabin and dumps it outside. The condenser is where a lot of that heat rejection happens. When the condenser face is blocked by dust, bugs, leaves, road film, pollen, or bent fins, Heat cannot leave efficiently, then the AC loses strength, especially in traffic. That is why some Mercedes blow colder on the highway than at idle. Moving air helps the condenser. Stop traffic exposes weak heat rejection. Inspect the front grille area. Look for debris packed in the condenser face. Use gentle water flow from a safe angle. Do not blast it with aggressive pressure. Thin fins can bend easily. Bent fins reduce airflow. Detail brush, careful rinsing, and patience are safer than attacking it like a driveway. The trap is washing the paint and forgetting the part that actually dumps AC heat. A shiny hood does not cool the cabin. A clean condenser helps. If the AC gets warmer at idle but improves while driving, condenser airflow becomes a suspect. Cooling fans, fan control, debris, and pressure issues should be checked. Do not ignore fan problems. A Mercedes AC system needs airflow even when the car is not moving. Cold air is not only made inside the dashboard, it is protected at the front of the car. There's also a simple visual test owners forget. Turn the AC on while parked, then listen near the front of the car from a safe distance. You should usually hear the cooling fan working when the system needs condenser airflow. If the vent air gets warm at idle and cold again when driving, that fan pattern matters. Do not put your hands near moving parts. Do not diagnose with fingers, loose clothing, or curiosity under the hood. Just notice the pattern and tell the shop. That single observation can save diagnostic time because it separates a cabin setting problem from a heat rejection problem. A Mercedes with weak condenser airflow can feel like it has low refrigerant even when the charge is correct. That is why the condenser, fan, and front airflow deserve attention before anyone reaches for a can. Air conditioning is a heat removal system. If the heat cannot leave the front of the car, cold air cannot stay strong inside the cabin. That is the part most owners never picture. They feel the vent and judge the dashboard, while the real battle may be happening inches behind the grille. Strong AC starts in the cabin, but it proves itself at the condenser. Ignore that, and you may replace parts that were only begging for airflow. That is expensive guessing, not smart Mercedes ownership ever. The next step is where owners accidentally block their own vents and blame the system. Number 7. Aim the vents. Like you actually want cooling vent direction sounds basic. That is why it gets ignored. Cold air does not help much if it is blasting into the steering wheel, the roof, the passenger door, or your knees, while your upper body stays hot. In many Mercedes cabins, the center vents do the fastest comfort work. Point them toward your upper body, not directly at the windshield and not straight into empty space. Close or reduce vents that are cooling nobody, especially when you are alone. Direct more airflow where people actually sit. Use the fan speed intelligently. Maximum fan right away can feel loud and chaotic, especially while the air is still warm. After the air becomes cold, stronger airflow becomes useful. The trap is setting the temperature low but leaving the vents aimed badly. The display says cold. Your body says nothing changed. Also check rear vents. If rear passengers complain while the front feels cold, the system may be dumping comfort in the wrong direction. Some Mercedes models have rear climate controls, rear vents, or separate zones. Make sure they are not fighting the front settings. Do not place phone mounts, air fresheners, decorations, or dash covers where they block airflow. A tiny obstruction can ruin the stream. Cold air needs a path. The AC cannot cool skin it never reaches. The next step sounds like a luxury feature, but using it wrong can make the system feel weaker than it really is. Number 6. Stop letting auto mode fight your emergency. Cool down auto climate control is excellent for steady comfort. It is not always the fastest way to recover from a cabin that has been baking in the sun. Auto mode balances temperature, fan speed, airflow direction, humidity, noise, and comfort. That is the point. The system may choose a calmer strategy than you want during the first brutal minutes. If you need maximum cool down, take control briefly. Set the temperature low, use strong fan speed, use dash vents, use recirculation after the heat dump. Then, once the cabin becomes comfortable, return to auto. That sequence works better than fighting auto while complaining that it is too gentle. The trap is thinking auto means fastest. Auto often means balanced. Balanced is great after the cabin is under control. During the first few minutes after sitting in the sun, you may want aggressive cooling, not polite cooling. Some Mercedes systems also adjust airflow based on sun sensors, cabin temperature sensors, humidity, and zone settings. If a sensor is blocked, dirty, or confused by a dash, mat, or accessory, the system may make poor decisions. Keep sensors unobstructed. Do not cover dashboard sun sensors. Do not block interior temperature sensor areas. Do not assume the computer can read the cabin correctly if you hide its eyes. Use manual control to win the first battle. Use auto to hold the victory. The next step separates a weak system from a system being dragged down by one simple maintenance mistake. Number 5. Check the AC drain. Before moisture turns into musty air, cold air removes moisture. That moisture has to leave the car. The evaporator inside the HVAC case creates condensation. Normally, that water exits through the AC drain under the vehicle. That is why seeing water drip under the car on a hot day can be normal. Trouble starts when the drain clogs. Moisture stays inside the HVAC case. The cabin can smell musty. Windows may fog more easily. Air can feel damp instead of crisp. A Mercedes owner may think the AC is weak because the air feels heavy, stale, and unpleasant. The real problem may be trapped moisture and microbial smell around the evaporator area. Clues matter. Musty smell when the AC first turns on. Damp carpet near the passenger area. No water dripping outside during heavy AC use. Foggy glass. Wet odor after parking. Do not ignore those signs. A clogged drain can also lead to water inside the cabin, depending on model and blockage. This is not a perfume problem. Sprays may hide the smell briefly, but they do not remove trapped water. Have the drain inspected and cleared carefully. Avoid jamming sharp tools blindly into hoses or drains. The wrong move can damage parts or push debris deeper. Hit the like button if your AC has ever smelled cold but dirty. The next mistake is worse because owners try to fix it with a can and accidentally make the AC warmer. Dry air feels colder. Wet, musty air makes even cold vents feel wrong. The next step is the repair store trap that ruins more AC systems than owners admit. Number 4. Never guess with refrigerant cans. Low refrigerant can make AC weak. That part is true. The dangerous part is what owners do next. They buy a recharge can, connect it to the low side port, watch a colored gauge, and start adding refrigerant like they are topping off washer fluid. That is the trap. Automotive AC systems require an exact refrigerant type and a precise charge amount. Too little refrigerant hurts cooling. Too much refrigerant can also hurt cooling and stress the compressor. Overcharging does not make the AC extra cold. It can make it worse. A Mercedes AC system is not a guessing game. It may use R134A, R123-4YF, or another specified refrigerant depending on year and model. Mixing using sealers or adding the wrong type can create expensive problems. Refrigerant service also has legal and environmental rules. In the United States, motor vehicle AC servicing is regulated, and technicians handling refrigerant must follow EPA requirements. That matters because refrigerant is not supposed to be vented casually. If the AC is low, there is usually a reason. The system may have a leak. Adding refrigerant without finding the leak is like filling a leaking tire every morning and calling it repair. Have the system recovered, evacuated, leak checked, vacuum tested, and charged by weight when needed. The scale matters. The sticker under the hood or service information lists the required charge amount. The cheap can gives confidence. The scale gives accuracy. Here's the scary part. An undercharged system and an overcharged system can both cool poorly. Pressure changes with temperature, fan operation, engine speed, and system design. A proper machine removes the refrigerant, measures what came out, evacuates moisture and air, then charges the exact amount by weight. That process tells the truth. Guessing only tells you how confident the can made you feel. The next step is the hidden door inside the dashboard that can mix heat into your cold air. Number 3. Check blend doors and heater. Intrusion. Sometimes the AC is cold, but the cabin still feels warm. That can happen when the system is mixing heat with cold air. Inside the HVAC box, blend doors and actuators control how air passes through the evaporator and heater core. If a door sticks, breaks, loses calibration, or an actuator fails, the vents may not deliver the temperature you requested. The driver thinks the AC is weak. The real issue may be unwanted heat blending into the airstream. Clues show up in strange ways. One side blows colder than the other. Center vents feel different from side vents. Passenger side stays warm. Temperature changes, click behind the dash. Dual zone settings behave oddly. Heat appears even when the temperature is set low. That is not always refrigerant. That can be air direction and temperature control. This matters a lot in Mercedes models with dual zone or multi-zone climate systems. More zones mean more control, but also more doors, sensors, actuators, and logic. Do not keep adding refrigerant to solve a blend door problem. That is like adding ice to a drink while someone pours hot tea into it. Use a thermometer at the vents. Compare left and right. Compare center and side vents. Compare recirculation and fresh air. Record what happens at idle and while driving. Patterns help diagnosis. A good Mercedes specialist can scan climate control modules, test actuators, check refrigerant data, and identify whether the problem is cooling production or air mixing. Cold AC can be defeated by one warm door. The next step uses a simple test that exposes the truth before you waste money. Number 2. Measure vent temperature. Instead of guessing, Feel lies. A hand in front of the vent is not diagnosis. On a hot day, slightly cool air may feel amazing at first. On a mild day, the same vent temperature may feel weak. Sunlight, humidity, fan speed, and cabin heat all trick your senses. Use a thermometer. Place a digital thermometer in the center vent. Set the system to maximum cooling, appropriate fan speed, and recirculation after the first heat dump. Let the car stabilize. Measure the vent temperature. Record outside temperature too. You are not looking for one magic number for every Mercedes in every climate. You are looking for evidence. Does the vent get cold at highway speed but warm at idle? Think condenser airflow, fan function, pressure, or charge. Shrug issues. Does one side blow warm while the other side is cold? Think blend door, actuator, sensor, or zone problem. Does airflow feel weak even though vent temperature is cold? Think cabin filter, blower, blocked vents, or evaporator restriction. Does the compressor cycle strangely? Think pressure, sensors, control logic, or refrigerant charge. This simple test changes the conversation. Instead of telling the shop, "My AC feels bad," you can say, "Center vent temperature is this at idle, this while driving, left side is warmer than right, and airflow is weak." That saves time. Time is money in diagnosis. The trap is describing feelings when the car is giving measurable clues. A thermometer turns AC complaints into evidence. The final step is the full sequence. This is what makes a healthy Mercedes AC feel dramatically colder without touching refrigerant. Number 1. Use the 5-minute Mercedes AC cold air sequence. Here's the step most owners skip. They do one thing right, then stop. They replace the filter but leave heat trapped. They press recirculation too early. They clean the condenser but keep vents aimed wrong. They recharge refrigerant without measuring. They use auto mode before the cabin is ready. The coldest Mercedes AC comes from sequence, not one magic button. Use this 5-minute routine. First, dump the heat, open the doors or windows briefly. Let the oven air escape before the compressor fights it. Second, start driving if safe. Movement helps push hot air out and improves airflow across the condenser. A parked car cools slower than a moving one. Third, set the system for maximum cooling. Use a low temperature setting, strong fan, and face level vents. Aim the vents at people, not glass, empty seats, or the steering column. Fourth, after the first blast of heat is gone, activate recirculation. Now the system cools already cooled air instead of constantly swallowing outside heat. Fifth, after the cabin becomes comfortable, return to auto or adjust fan speed. That is the part owners miss. Maximum attack is for cool down. Auto is for maintaining comfort. This sequence can make the same AC system feel twice as cold because you removed heat load, improved condenser airflow, recycled cooler cabin air, and delivered the cold air where your body actually feels it. No can, no guessing, no fake miracle, just the correct order. This is where the earlier chain finally comes together. Cabin heat, airflow, condenser cooling, recirculation, drain health, vent direction, sensors, blend doors, refrigerant charge, fan control, and driver settings all have to agree. Number 1 works because it forces the easy pieces to agree before you spend money. The sequence also creates a simple pass or fail test. If the AC suddenly feels strong after the routine, the system was probably being held back by heat load, airflow direction, or recirculation timing. That is good news. If the AC still feels weak after the routine, the car deserves real diagnosis. That is when you stop guessing and start checking evidence. Vent temperature, filter condition, condenser airflow, fan operation, drain behavior, refrigerant weight, blend door movement, sensor data. This is how experienced Mercedes owners avoid the parts canon. They do not replace the compressor because the cabin feels warm. They prove the compressor is the problem before spending compressor money. If the system still performs badly after this sequence, then you diagnose. Check the cabin filter, check condenser airflow, check the drain. Measure vent temperature, inspect fans, scan climate control, verify refrigerant charge by weight. Look for blend door problems. Do not jump straight to refrigerant. That is how owners waste money. This routine also protects the compressor from unnecessary stress because the system is not fighting a sealed heat box longer than it has to. A Mercedes AC system is strongest when you help it. Heat out first, cold air recycled second, airflow directed third, diagnosis measured last. That is the difference between guessing and understanding. Most weak AC complaints start with one of 3 things. The air cannot move, the heat cannot leave. The system is being guessed at instead of measured. Fix those 3, and many Mercedes cabins feel transformed. One more detail matters. Do not ignore AC performance until the hottest week of the year. Test it before summer, replace filters before heat season, clean the condenser when you wash the front end. Notice smells early, watch for uneven vent temperatures, pay attention to fan noise. Cold air problems get more expensive when everyone needs AC repair at the same time. Experienced owners do not wait for misery. They prepare before the first brutal afternoon. That cheap habit keeps the car comfortable and keeps panic away from your wallet. A Mercedes should not feel like a greenhouse with leather seats. It should cool quickly, quietly, and confidently. When it does not, follow the sequence before blaming the compressor. The compressor may be innocent, the cabin may be trapped, blocked, dirty, damp, misdirected, overcharged, or misdiagnosed. That is why this works. It turns AC from a mystery into a checklist. Cold air is not luck. It is heat control, clean airflow, correct settings, accurate charge, and diagnosis done in the right order every single hot summer day. Use this routine on a hot afternoon when the car has been parked in the sun. That is the honest test. A cool morning proves almost nothing. Any weak system can feel decent when the cabin is not heat-soaked. Summer traffic tells the truth. Strong Mercedes AC should recover after the heat dump, blow colder on recirculation, and stay consistent once the cabin temperature drops. If it only works on the highway, struggles at idle, smells musty, or changes temperature from one side to the other, the car is giving you a direction. Listen to the direction. Do not buy refrigerant before you understand the symptom. Do not blame the compressor before checking airflow. Do not ignore smells before checking moisture. Do not accept weak cooling as normal just because the car is older. Age does not automatically mean the AC must be disappointing. Neglect does that. The coldest Mercedes is usually not the one with the newest compressor. It is the one with clean airflow, clean heat rejection, correct refrigerant, working doors, and an owner who uses the system in the right order. Do not treat comfort like decoration. In summer heat, strong AC protects attention, patience, passengers, electronics, leather, and the feeling that the car is still worth every dollar you paid for it today, too. Drop a comment with your Mercedes model and whether your AC gets colder while driving or while sitting still. Click the video on the left if you want to see Mercedes maintenance mistakes that cost owners thousands. If you want more Mercedes tricks before they become repair bills, hit subscribe. I will see you in the next one.